Chapter 7. The arrogant, pig-headed lout. If he wanted a letter of resignation, she'd give him one. Jenna stormed into the study and plucked the laptop off the desk where she had returned it. She carried it to the kitchen table, depositing it with a clunk. She plopped down in the chair and wrenched the laptop open, glaring at it while it started. Finally, she was able to compose a new email and addressed it to Grayson. Mr. Miller, I quit. Jenna Newman. Grayson sent a reply almost immediately.
I expect a better letter.
Better? Jenna stewed. 100 uncomplimentary names to call him sprung forth. Mr. Miller, I quit because you are a jackass. Please give me the garage code before I call the cops. Jenna Newman. Grayson sent his reply 10 minutes later, letting her bristle and fume. He did it on purpose, she knew. Negotiations were his specialty, and Jenna was in the middle of a negotiation whether she wanted to be or not.
Jenna, when I hired you, I expected so much more than name-calling and threats. Try again. Grayson.
Jenna pushed back from the table before she gave in to the urge to chuck the laptop out of the kitchen window. Damn him! Was keeping her here a game to him? Even if she did follow through with her threat of calling the police, she knew he had the power to change the game to his favor. He didn't come about his wealth without using his power once in a while. Jenna took a deep breath. Fine. If he wanted a flowery resignation letter, then that's what he'd get. If it meant leaving this house, she'd do nearly anything. Scratch that. She liked the house, loved it. It was the owner she wanted to escape from. Dear Mr. Miller, I find that I am unable to perform the job that I was hired for. Please accept this as my resignation, effective immediately. Thank you for the opportunity. Sincerely, Jenna Newman. It wasn't as flowery as she wanted, but it should at least appease his demands.
Liar.
Jenna stared at the single-word reply. She was going to kill him. She bounded up the stairs and threw open his bedroom door. Liar? She demanded.
You said you were unable to perform the job. That's a lie.
Grayson stretched with an appreciative sigh and tossed back the covers. Jenna jumped back and squeezed her eyes shut. What are you doing?
I'm getting up. It's not like I can sleep with you yelling and slamming doors. Very unprofessional.
She bit back a retort. Hazarding a glance at him, she found he was wearing boxer briefs. They were snug enough that they didn't leave much to the imagination. She slapped a hand over her eyes to block the view since her wayward eyes couldn't be trusted to stay closed. This is unprofessional, too. If you'd let me leave, you could sleep. And would you please cover yourself?
You barged into my room, Jenna,
Grayson said. He stood and crossed the few feet to Jenna, dragging her hand away from her face. She squeaked and squeezed her eyes shut.
Look at me.
Get some clothes on, and I will.
I'm not going to dress only to have to then undress to shower.
Then I'm not opening my eyes. Grayson was silent, too silent. She could feel him next to her. What was he doing? She cracked her eyes open and immediately shut them again. He was still there. A wisp of air moved past her, and then the shower turned on moments later. What are you doing? Jenna asked a little on the high-pitched side.
I'm taking a shower so I can get dressed. Otherwise, you'll be standing there all day with your eyes closed.
Close the bathroom door.
Too late.
Jenna guarded her eyes with her hands and looked down at the floor, navigating her way to the exit. The last thing she needed was to see her boss naked. Correction, ex-boss. Muttering to herself, she made her way back to the kitchen. Jenna yanked out ingredients to make pancakes. She was starving. If he was going to keep her captive until he was done showering, then she was going to eat his food. Who knew when her next meal would be anyway? By the time the pancakes were done and she took her first bite, Grayson entered the kitchen, fully dressed, thank goodness.
Smells good,
Grayson said with a hungry gleam. I made pancakes, Jenna said, stuffing a large bite into her mouth.
Do you have more?
No. Grayson eyed her plate. She had 3 extremely large pancakes stacked on her plate. They smelled and tasted delicious. His loss. Jenna saw him closing in on her, and she wrapped her arm around the plate, guarding her food. Not that she could eat all of it, but he didn't deserve any. She cut a piece of pancake and was bringing it to her mouth when Grayson's hand shot out and stopped her. He dragged her fork, which was still stuck in her hand, to him. She watched as the pancake disappeared between his lips. Jenna quickly let go of the fork. Grayson smiled and sat down next to her, pulling the plate over to himself. "It's bad enough I'm trapped here. You're not stealing my food, too," Jenna barked, yanking the plate back.
But I still have the fork.
Grayson said smugly. Jenna knew if she left the pancakes undefended to get a new fork, Grayson would confiscate them. Grayson reached over and cut a piece. He was bringing it to his mouth when he stopped and dangled it in front of her mouth instead.
I share,
he said, taunting her with her own pancakes. Was he really trying to feed her? Jenna shoved back from the table, her hands flying to her hips. What the hell is going on? Your actions are completely confusing. First you yell and make me quit, and now I'm forced to stay and you're trying to feed me pancakes. Grayson gave a careless shrug and popped the pancake bite into his mouth.
These are really good.
Mr. Miller! Grayson sighed and pushed the plate back to Jenna's spot, along with the fork.
Stop with the Mr. Miller nonsense. It's weird sitting at home and being called Mr. Miller.
I have other names I'd be happy to call you, Jenna snarled. The corners of Grayson's mouth kicked up.
How about if you just call me Grayson?
Fine, Grayson, she gritted. What the hell do you want from me?
Eat your breakfast, and then we'll talk.
I'm not hungry.
Jenna, if you don't sit down and eat, I'll force feed you myself.
Jenna eyed him, wondering if he'd really carry out his threat.
I will,
Grayson said, reading her mind. She sat down with a huff and snatched the fork. She may as well eat. She didn't know when her next meal would be, and they were her pancakes. When she finally swallowed the last bite, she leaned back with a groan. She'd eaten all 3 giant pancakes. She hadn't wanted Grayson to eat any of them. Now she realized her mistake. The only miserable one here was her. Grayson lifted a brow as she sprawled back in the chair. Let's get this over with, Jenna complained.
I hired you to do a job,
Grayson stated.
I expect it to be done.
I don't want to work for you, she replied, wondering what his angle was. She did want to keep the job and stay here. She was terrified to leave these gated walls. If she was smart, she'd shut up and take whatever he offered. I tried to quit and you won't let me.
Last night you said you wanted to start over.
That's when I still thought you were the gardener, not my boss.
What does it matter?
Grayson asked.
Listen, we both realize we started off on the wrong foot, and we are equally to blame.
He paused, most likely waiting for her to argue. When she didn't, he continued.
I'd like for you to continue to work here. If you feel you want to leave because of a different reason, I won't stop you. You have my word.
Why?
Why won't I stop you?
No, why would you want me to continue? He leaned back and crossed his feet.
You were excited to open this bed and breakfast. I could see it in your eyes. You like it here, and you want the business to be successful. That's the person I hired. That's the person I want to stay.
I was excited. And I do like it here, she added. But things are rather awkward between us.
If that is your only concern, then we're good. This is only a project for me. Once the business is up and running and the garden is complete, I'm going to sell it. You won't have to see me again.
Sell it? She repeated. Why would you want to sell this place? It's your home, and it's beautiful.
This is my one last project, then I'm moving on.
To where? He gave a small shrug.
Anywhere. Nowhere. It doesn't matter. My life as a businessman is over.
You can't be serious. You're the best in the business.
I was, and now I'm discovering that there's life beyond a suit.
You didn't know that before? She asked incredulously. He grinned.
I'm a late bloomer. In any case, I found that I forget about life and people when I work. Until I can find a happy medium, I'm taking a break. Probably for good. I'm not asking for you to understand. I'm asking you to continue as the manager.
She gave a tight nod. I will,
Good.
Grayson said, looking relieved and flustered at the same time.
I'm heading out to the garden.
Wait, I'll make you pancakes.
No need, but if you could make lunch, I'd be grateful.
It will be ready at noon, Jenna said.
11.
Grayson countered. 11:30,
See you then?
Grayson said with a smile that left Jenna's conflicted heart sputtering. Jenna worked harder than she ever had before. She didn't need Grayson's kudos, but she didn't want him to regret his decision to let her stay either. She'd even thought of the perfect name for the bed and breakfast, but she wanted to come up with a few more options for him to choose from. It was 11 o'clock when Jenna finally broke away from the computer to fix lunch. She glanced out at the garden to see Grayson working on the maze. If the design laying on the patio table was any indication, it was only a tenth complete. He had many long days ahead of him to finish Nadia's maze. At least that's what she thought he'd named it. It was handwritten next to the design. Who is Nadia? Jenna opened the refrigerator and pulled out cold cuts and cheese. Sandwiches would be okay for lunch. Grayson had to be really hungry. She would cut up some fruit, too. There was leftover pasta that'd make a decent cold pasta salad. That should be enough. As she finished preparing lunch, Jenna wondered if Nadia was a relative. Perhaps the maze was a memorial for a deceased grandmother.
Is lunch ready?
Grayson asked from the doorway. Jenna jumped, clutching her hand to her heart. You scared me, she gasped. Grayson smiled.
Sorry, I thought you heard me. So, lunch?
It's ready, she said. Help yourself. Grayson strolled over and popped a grape into his mouth while he built a sandwich. When his plate was filled, he grabbed a beer from the refrigerator and settled at the table.
Are you going to join me?
He asked, biting into the sandwich. I'll sit with you, but I'm not eating, Jenna said, taking the chair across from him. A grin formed.
Still full from breakfast?
Don't remind me, Jenna said, feeling the large lump of pancake sitting in her stomach. Grayson's eyes twinkled, but he must have decided against teasing her.
Have you made any progress on the list?
Yes, I already have a few items completed, she said, happy to go over some of the details. When she was nearing the last item, she blurted, Who is Nadia? Grayson stilled, a grape held in midair.
Where did you hear that name?
It's written on the garden design, she answered. He gave a small nod.
She's a friend.
She must be a good friend if you named a maze after her. Grayson rubbed the back of his neck and pushed back from the table.
I should go. I have work to do.
Jenna felt a change shift through him. Did I say something wrong?
No.
Grayson muttered as he escaped from the kitchen, leaving Jenna puzzled.